Thanks for tuning in. You're listening to Propaganda. Thanks for tuning in. You're listening to Propaganda with Mick and Jacob.
Monster Ultra just released a new flavor. Ultra Wild Passion.
He's doing his taste test. This is his first time trying it. Can I try it?
That's super good.
Is it?
It's like passion fruity and like pineapple-y. That's good.
Pretty good.
Saw it on the shelf yesterday. Quick trip, had to grab it. Anyways, we got a lot of news for you guys today. Just like really a few topics, but
really just one topic.
Yeah, you want to start it off?
Now, there's been a lot of propaganda in the media this week. I think you know what I'm talking about. On one side, you're being told that Zohran Mamdani becoming the next mayor of New York means the city will fall to Sharia law. On the other hand, you're told believing that is Islamophobic. And you're absolutely absurd for not even wanting him to be the mayor. Who's right? Well, I went down an entire rabbit hole researching who Mamdani was, his beliefs, his background, like his mother's job, like she worked in film, like so many random things. So
who is this guy?
Who is Zohran Mamdani? Now, if you haven't heard, Zohran Mamdani is now mayor-elect of New York City as of November 4th of this year, 2025. He's 34, making him the youngest mayor-elect of the city since 1892, and he's the first Muslim mayor. It's kind of funny that it's New York. Now, he's caused quite a stir among Americans because of his socialist policies, and we'll chat about that later. But first, a little background on the guy, because to me, he like came out of nowhere, and I'm like, who is this guy?
He did. That's always a good sign when they come out of nowhere and they instantly rise to the top.
Right.
Everyone loves them.
Right. So, he was actually born in Uganda. He is not an American-born citizen. For a few years, he lived in Cape Town, South Africa. Then, when he was 5 to 7, his family... I knew it! That's why it says 5 to 7.
5 to 7? Why can't you...
When he was 6 to 7, his family moved to the United States, and they settled in New York! Illegally, legally, honestly, who the hell knows? And I don't know. But the fact that they don't have an actual date that he came here... Anyway, so Mamdani, he went on to graduate from Bowdoin College, and he received a bachelor's degree with a major in Africana Studies in 2014. Africana?
Just kidding, I have no clue.
That is literally just the study of black people, if you didn't know that.
That's a crazy degree.
Hey, he's a well-rounded individual. Gotta hand it to him.
So he was born in Uganda. He's not black. He's
No.
He's African, right? If he's born in Uganda. But
Yeah.
He's not black. But he goes to college, and his degree that he chooses is the study of black people.
Correct.
Okay. All right, continue.
He's passionate about it.
Yeah.
So he jumped right into politics. He graduated in 2014, like I said, and then he got into politics in New York in 2015, and he volunteered for, I'm not going to say this right.
The Ali Najimi's city council campaign.
And he joined the Democratic Socialists of America, the DSA, in 2017, so pretty soon into his political career.
Jeez.
And for those, this is why that's important, for those saying that he's not a socialist, I've seen people actually try to defend that. No, he fully is part of the DSA, and the DSA actually funds him and backs him. Anyway, so some campaign roles before actually running himself. He helped a lot of campaigns, and he helped kind of get campaigns moving off the ground. He never ran himself for a while. 2017, again, I'm not going to pronounce this right.
Kadar al-Yatim, a Palestinian Lutheran minister, whatever that is, and a Democratic Socialist. So he worked under him, kind of building up his reputation, building up his expertise in the area of politics in New York City. 2018, what did he do?
He was the campaign manager for Ross Barkan's state senate bid. They ended up losing. Okay. Then in 2019, he was a field organizer for Tiffany Kavan's close Queens DA race. They also lost, but this is when they started gaining a lot of attention. He then announced his run for Assembly District 36 in 2019, and he was endorsed by the DSA. That's the Democratic Socialist of America. And his platform here focused on housing reform, police and prison reform, and public ownership of utilities. He won, and this was huge for him, being his first running race. This is when he started gaining a lot of media attention. Then he was re-elected in 2022 and 2024, unopposed both times. So the people obviously really loved him. Must be a stand-up guy. Some notable work during this time: he co-founded the State Socialists in Office block in New York. He helped launch fare-free bus pilot program. He joined the taxi driver hunger strike in solidarity and sponsored 20 bills. 3 actually ended up becoming law, and he co-sponsored 238 bills total.
So he loves
Busy
reform.
guy.
Loves reform. Also, point out, co-founded the State Socialists in Office block.
Correct.
Not Democratic Socialists, not like socialist adjacent. Not that I want free healthcare and housing for everyone. Not like something like that. This is State Socialist in Office block. Okay? Co-founded it. So, we'll come back to that later too. Socialism.
Yeah. During this time, he also served on 9 committees, including energy, aging, and election law. So, hey, again, really well-rounded guy. He seems busy and he seems very passionate.
Then in October 23rd of 2024, he announces his run for mayor. His platform, the thing he prides himself on, is free city buses, rent freeze, so he's going to freeze everyone's rent in New York so to provide stabilized housing, a city-run grocery store, 1 per borough, there's 5 boroughs, right? Universal childcare, $30 minimum wage by 2030, and tax hikes on corporations and millionaires.
All right.
Quite the platform.
Yeah.
He's really standing up to the status quo. He ended up winning the June 2025 Democratic primary, considered it a major upset. As you know, he ended up winning, and his support base primarily includes younger, diverse voters, especially under 45 years old.
And this was a fun little statistic that I found.
Polls.
I'm just showing this for funsies. It's interesting the base he has.
Polls showed 67% of Jewish voters under 44 plan to support him, which I think is really interesting because we've been told by the media that he's super anti-Semitic. He hates Jews. He's this primarily far Muslim jihadist, right? But yet well over half of the younger Jewish audience, Jewish voters, they're going to support him. So I thought that was interesting. And then his campaign branding, of course, is he's appealing to Gen Z. He wants the younger voter bloc. There's been this really big trend recently where like all the younger women, you know, are like going crazy. Like, oh, Mayor Mamdani, you know, and like they're like all voting for him. What do they call him? They call him something.
They do?
Yeah.
Zozo?
No.
That's what I would call him.
No, like the women themselves have a nickname. I forget what it was. But yeah, so you have all these younger women, especially, but young Gen Z, really supporting him, super excited. Why? Because Gen Z we want free housing. We want better
free
wages.
things.
We want
Everyone
everything to be
does.
better with us not requiring any harder work or any sacrifices. That's what we want, of course. So why not elect Mr. Mamdani?
And I will say he actually did have a very successful campaign in the fact that he was basically a nobody and he was able to climb his way to the top, win the primary against someone that was very well known in New York City. Gen Z, he knows how to campaign to them. Oh, as far as branding, as far as riding the public bus with everyone, because he's a guy just like you. He rides the public bus. He eats food with his hands because that's where he came from. Did you see that video? Yeah. Ridiculous. So one main concern that everybody has is that he is a Muslim. Muslims follow the Quran. How do you say that? Quran?
Yeah.
I'll re-say that. Oh my gosh. Quran?
The Quran.
Quran.
Muslims follow the Quran, which is known for having very violent directions to its followers.
And he is a very proud Muslim. You see this, it's very evident in when the speeches he makes. He's said it himself that he follows Islam and that he is proud of it, proud of his heritage, and that he,
Yeah, and then to all the Muslims that are going to see this and freak out, I'm not saying all Muslims are violent or terrorists or anything like that. The Quran does have some very explicit messages towards its readers, towards its followers. and you know what we're talking about.
I get into that.
It's what you do.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's not to say every Muslim is some violent extremist, but like when you do follow a book that has extreme violent beliefs in it, you have to like be a little bit on edge. You have to ask yourself a few questions. You know,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean Zohar Mamdani is some extremist, like murderer, like terrible person. Doesn't mean that at all. But it is interesting to note, and it also is interesting that America was a country founded on Christianity, Christian beliefs. That's very central to who we are today, even though a lot of people don't believe it. It's our heritage. It's a lot of our customs and culture. And the Muslims are so inherently opposed to Christianity, right? To Jesus Christ specifically. Like, that's something you got to think about, right? New York City is the city on the hill for America, right? It's our big, like, you have LA, you have Miami, right? But New York City, that's like America, right? You have the Twin Towers, you have like the Christmas in New York, you have all these like specifically New York things that's like America, and it's the best of both worlds, right? And we have a lot of different diverse groups in New York City, and supposedly that's the dream of America. That's the everyone comes together in like different backgrounds, whatever. We still make it work. And now someone who is inherently opposed by belief, by definition, to a lot of what America was founded on, he is now going to be the mayor of New York City, the American city, you know? So just keep that in mind.
And that's why him being Muslim is that's why him being Muslim is relevant. A lot of people, you're bigoted, you're racist for. It goes against everything America, the United States, has ever stood for. It's a really good
If a
point.
Christian born in America went overseas to the Middle East and became a mayor of one of their major cities and was a Christian, that's something you'd hear about. That would be alarming to the people of that region, to the people of that country.
They would never allow
Why?
it.
Because they would never allow it. But why? Because it's extremely different to what their core beliefs are, what they're founded on, and what they believe in.
So, there are a lot of branches of Islam, and Mamdani himself is a practicing Shia Islam. That is the second largest branch of Islam. So you have Shia Muslims, and then you have Sunni, which is the largest. Shia is the second largest, and that's what Mamdani is part of. And although Shia and Sunni Muslims differ in certain practices and interpretations, they share foundational beliefs, including the oneness of their God, the prophethood of Muhammad, the Quran as their sacred text, that is their Bible. Their split stems mainly from just historical and political disputes rather than core theological differences. That's really important. So although they're different branches, theologically they're not that different. So Shia Muslims, they follow the Quran just as much, and they also follow and believe the Sharia law. So Sharia law, this is what everyone is up in arms about. So, okay, backtrack here. Mamdani, Sharia Islam, Sharia Muslim, they follow the Sharia law. If he is as dedicated and proud of Islam as he says he is, he would follow Sharia law. He would believe that. Now, Sharia law is basically a practice from the Quran on how to govern the Muslims' lives in basically all aspects. A lot of Muslim countries go so far as to include this in their legal framework. Mm-hmm. It can play a role in their judicial system. And out of all the legal systems in the world, Sharia law is the most restrictive, especially to women. Some examples of this, and I researched this last night. This is not me making this up. This is from direct websites promoting it, okay? Theft is punishable by the amputation of hands. Okay, a little, but hey.
Eye for an eye, all about it.
Hey, criticizing or denying Allah, their God, is punishable by death.
That's weird, because America is supposed to be a country of free idea and free thoughts. And you should be able to support and criticize any God or any religion or any government that you want to.
Not
so
Sharia
interesting that denying or criticizing Allah would be punishable by death. Continue.
Homosexuality is punishable by death as well, but sodomizing boys is fine. Girls can be sodomized and vaginally raped after 8 years of age. 8. A woman or girl who has been raped cannot testify in court against her rapist at all, unless there are 4 testimonies of male witnesses present to prove that rape of the female. And a woman or girl who alleges rape without producing those 4 male witnesses is guilty of adultery. What is the punish of adultery? You guessed it, death. And then a male convicted of rape can have his conviction dismissed by marrying his victim.
It's not rape if you marry him after, right?
Right. That dismisses it. Muslim men have sexual rights to any woman or girl not wearing the hijab. A woman can have one husband, but that husband can have up to 4 wives. Of course, makes sense. A man can beat that wife for insubordination, so not obeying or disrespecting his authority. A woman's testimony in court, allowed in property cases, only carries half the weight of a man. So her thoughts and her opinions literally only carry half the weight in the court of law. Why? I don't know. A woman cannot speak alone to a man who is not her husband or relative. And then the most important is that Muslims should engage in taqiyya and lie to non-Muslims to advance the Islam religion. So this is your mayor of New York City. He believes these things.
If he's a good Muslim, if he is a Quran-abiding, loyal, religious Muslim, then he should be obeying what is instructed in him in the Quran, right? Like any good Christian should be following the Bible, right? Any good Jew should be following the Talmud. So if he's a good Muslim, he should be reading, abiding by, implementing what he believes in the Quran into his life. And now that he's mayor, doesn't mean he has like uniform power over everything in New York City, but it is like, well, isn't that what he's commanded to do? Is to advance Islam? And I'm not upset about that at all. As far as they want to advance their own religion, of course they do. It's their religion. They believe wholeheartedly that's the right thing to do. And in America, they have every right to believe whatever they want to do. It doesn't mean they can do whatever they want to do, but they have the right to believe it. So of course he's going to try to advance his religion and his ideals and his culture. It's just, it should be a shock. It should be a warning to Christians, to American citizens. Forget Christians. For American citizens, when you deny or criticize Allah, that is punishable by death under Sharia law. I'm not saying Sharia law is going to start next week in New York City, but it is. It's
the mayor
it's
of it
scary.
believes that, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, you don't have to like over exaggerate and freak out about everything, but it's like, come on, what are we doing here? Like, let's not. By too many people turning away, by too many people not caring, this is what happens. Like slowly, things like this start to build up. And I'm not talking about just Muslims. I'm talking about other things too, other things in culture. Like things build up when the good people like stop paying attention and stop caring, right? So, yeah, that's crazy.
Isn't that insane?
Yeah.
It's worse than I thought. And I posted a video about this on our TikTok.
Okay.
And I just simply expressing, I had never actually researched Sharia law. And so because it was such a buzzword in the media recently, I'm like, okay, let me look into this. And I said that it's worse than I thought. And I gave some examples, the examples that you just heard. And the comments were absurd. People jumped in there. Not all Muslims. Actually, what about Christians? There's some pretty crazy Christians. Okay.
Yeah, true. There's crazy people in every group.
But that's not an argument. That's a fallacy. You can't just sit here and say, well, what about? And my point in the video was that, yeah, it might not be all Muslims. Totally fair.
The majority of Islam practicing countries, the majority of its most devout followers would believe that because that's what their book instructs them to do.
Correct.
Of course. It's follow the logical conclusions. I think of that one Muslim couple on TikTok where the woman's always like, I can't do this and I can't do that, but that's okay. And everyone's like, oh, that's so awesome. They're practicing and they're celebrating their faith and their religion. In America, that's great for them. That's awesome. But like she literally says some things in there that like, oh, I can't look at another man. And like, oh, I can't be there if I'm with another man. I need to have my hijab on. And like, which, okay, that's your religion. You believe that. Fine, whatever. But it's like, they're not hiding it.
Right.
Like.
That's another thing. Yeah, and the comments are so supportive. But then me, as a white female, for some reason, when I point it out, I'm simply pointing it out. I'm not even really saying like, this is a terrorist organization and we need to make sure that they're out of our country. I said nothing political, just the fact that I researched it. And people were pissed that I shared that information.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me. And they're proud of it. And the 2 largest branches we just heard follow Sharia law. The 2 largest, it's not some, remote small terrorist organization in Iraq,
This isn't ISIS.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
the second largest group that worships and follows Islam. Like, of course. So, yeah, continue.
Anyway, so the most important thing that I took note of, and I'm sure you've heard it all over, is taqiyya, and that is Muslims practice this to further advance Islam, meaning they can lie, they can pretend to be something they're not, if it further advances their religion. And a lot of people have been saying that Mamdani is most likely practicing this, and I actually happen to believe this. Seeing how devout he is to his Muslim heritage and to the Islam faith, he's very proud of it. He's very open about it. Okay, he's not up there denouncing it.
No, he's not hiding it.
No, I heard nothing about him denouncing anything actually. And if he is, like you said, if he is a good Muslim, then he would be practicing Sharia law. He would believe in Sharia law, and he should be. His end goal should be to advance Islam, and this is done through taqiyya. And this is not to scare you, but like we said, us Gen Z, as the new voters, we just need to watch who we're putting in charge of our country. This is New York City. It would be just as bad if it was some town in Nebraska, but this is our gem. This is America, and he's in charge of it.
That's a good point. Our generation, we want what's easy. We want it now. We want it for free. We don't want consequences. We don't want to make sacrifices. That's not how the real world works. Nothing in life is free. Nothing in life is truly free. And when you elect someone that their entire platform is on providing as much free stuff to as many people that qualify for it as possible, that does not work. It does not work like the way you think it does. Okay? Someone down the line pays the bill for it. Someone down the line gets screwed over for it. Right? It's great to have charity. It's great to have giving. Taxes are great for the government's use and to keep the national system and everything running, infrastructure, all that stuff. I totally agree with that. Doesn't mean you should just tax the billionaires and tax the millionaires and just take all their money. Doesn't mean that at all. But Gen Z can't make the connection. Gen Z thinks that person has more than I do. I deserve some of that. Why? Well, they don't have a reason why, other than they don't have what that person has, and they feel they have the actual obligation, the actual right to someone else's stuff. We don't need to work as hard. We don't need to sacrifice anything. I just want what they have. And it's only fair, it's only equal, it's only just if everyone has the same thing. That's what we were taught growing up. Like everyone in Gen Z, like, oh, you have more than them? That's not fair. Oh, this is an inequality of the justice system. This is an unfair example of what's happening in our culture, in our schools, in our whatever. We, like Gen Z was taught that it's not fair for people to have different things than them, And whether that's like...
Or to have better things.
Right. Yeah. And that's the whole argument of like rights, whether that's like minorities versus like, what you want to say minorities versus whites and like their rights, and then men versus women. And then like all these things, we've always been like, oh, well, that's not fair, that's inequality. So now the result of that is we're all old enough to vote and live, and now we're paying bills, now we're on our own, now we're moving into houses and apartments and paying off debt from college. And it's like, yeah, now everyone's like, whoa, well, this isn't fair because they're not doing it over there. Like, so of course it's the like logical following of what our ideas have been and what everyone thinks. I think it's terrible that people won't take accountability for their own selves. I think it's terrible that people just want free housing in free government-run grocery stores. That's not how that works. It does not work like that. So that's a warning as well. And I think a good amount of Gen Z actually is waking up to that. But this is, and like we've talked about this before, but this is like the next great divide of this is the next great divide of our time. I think it will be economic and class division. Like we had race division and then men and women, like that's like the eternal struggle throughout all of mankind, right? Men and women. But it's like, I think specifically to Gen Z voters, as we get older too, the next big struggle will be economic, social classes, all that stuff. So when you elect a guy that says he wants to give everyone free stuff, just prepare for the consequences that will follow.
Now, what can the mayor of New York City actually do? What is Mamdani actually in charge of, and what can he genuinely do in that city? That's a question I had, and I'd like to answer it for the people wondering as well. So the mayor is basically, in sum, the CEO of New York City. Okay, duh. But he oversees all agencies, all city agencies, like the New York Police, the Fire Department, Department of Education, Sanitation, Transportation, Housing, those kinds of things. They oversee the budget. New York City's budget is billions times bigger than most countries.
110 billion to be exact.
It's huge. It's, again, this is one of our biggest
Crazy.
cities.
First city.
For one city. And they appoint people too. The mayor appoints commissioners, deputy mayors, agency heads, like the police commissioner or school's chancellor. So, Mamdani can direct how agencies enforce and interpret policies, reform policing practices, prioritize housing projects, and launch pilot programs. He can shift funding priorities, like allocating more money to public transit.
Didn't they launch a pilot program in the early fall of 2001?
Oh.
Stop, it's terrible. You cannot have that in there.
I can't?
No, I don't know.
Okay.
This is following the second pilot program from September 11th that did not end very well and blamed lots of terrorists for everything. Sorry, go. Don't have that in there.
Okay. They can shift funding priorities, so he can allocate more money towards his public transit or housing. And they can issue executive orders guiding agencies. The mayor also drafts and proposes the city's annual budget, which the city council must approve. So if Mamdani were to freeze the rent or give fare free transit, he can build them into the budget, but they'll only happen if the city council signs off on it.
And did you say, I missed in here, did you say he elects who's on the city council though? No, that's separate, correct?
He appoints commissioners, deputy mayors, agency heads, like the police commissioner and school chancellor. So, no, he's not completely building the city council,
right?
But he does have a lot of sway in who's on it.
The idea from like some conservatives that he's just going to overtake New York City into whatever he wants, that's not true. But what is true is he can elect and appoint a lot of people that can inflict their own will, their own idea of what New York City should be. So yeah, like it's not him directly signing laws, this is what we're doing. But like when you give a guy that he can appoint numerous very, very high profile individuals to like lead the different sectors and like sections in the economies of New York City, like that's a lot of control in and of itself. So like it's not him that's just going to ruin everything, but it is like, okay, he has a lot of power here though. Like that's why it does matter who you elect. Elections do matter. Results of winning and losing do matter, you know? So
no, right. The big takeaway here is that no, Sharia's law is not going to be the end all be all in New York City tomorrow, you know? But he does have some control, and obviously, as I continue to read, you'll see. So with his housing policy, freezing rent and everything, the mayor has some sway, but not total control. He can influence zoning decisions through the Department of City Planning, and he can launch or fund affordable housing programs, but he can't actually freeze the rent. He can't just say one day, okay, we're freezing the rent. That power lies within the New York City Rent Guidelines Board, and that's through the mayor appointing the members. Right. Correct. So that right there, he can appoint who he wants to do what he wants. So all in all, basically he could pressure or appoint sympathetic members to make a rent freeze happen, but he can't just declare it. When it comes to transportation, he can direct the New York City Department of Transportation on issues, but he can't only advocate for fare-free city buses. He'd need a lot of cooperation from the governor and state legislature to actually make this happen. When it comes to...
Doesn't mean he won't get the cooperation, though.
No, and I'm not saying that. He needs a lot of cooperation. I'm saying there's been a lot of propaganda saying that he himself really says it, that he can implement this immediately, and that's not true.
Right.
There's a lot of checks and balances. You can thank the founding fathers for that. Anyway, the New York Police Department, he does have direct control over them, so he can set policing priorities but he can't pass new criminal laws, but he does have direct control over the protection of the city, which... Education, he controls that department and can appoint the chancellor and set policies. It does need to operate within state education laws and union contracts, but he does have direct control over education. Health-wise, he can create citywide health programs like vaccinations or health initiatives, and he can set labor policy laws for city workers. Things like raising the minimum wage to $30 requires state approval. Again, he can't just do that. Things Mamdani cannot directly do is raise or lower the state taxes, change rent control laws statewide, can't do that, set the MTA budget or fares, override city council or state legislator. He can't change immigration or policing standards beyond city policy level. He can have influence over free buses, He can launch city-run grocery stores, unfortunately, and housing expansion. He can't push city zoning and funding priorities. His ideas basically are very ambitious, and he promised a lot of things in his campaign that he will need a lot of cooperation with from New York City.
Can I just say, if he delivers on even half the things that he promised, the effect that that's going to have on most New Yorkers is going to be so wildly not worth it for them. There's going to be so many extra problems, so much extra heartache. Like, if even half of what he's promising to do goes through, the average New York City resident, they are going to be way worse off. Way worse off, it's not even close. But we'll give him time. He has his mayoral roles now once his election takes turn.
We'll see what he does.
And we'll see what he can do.
So no, in summary, he can't make a new law tomorrow. But he does have a lot of influence. And like we said before, that is concerning, knowing that the goal of Islam is to help destroy Western civilization as we know it, the Christian religion. And he's in charge of a major city and landmark of our country. And with his absurd policies and beliefs, it is concerning.
It should be.
And as Americans, our job is to strongly oppose men like Mamdani who want to see our country fail. Oh, he doesn't want to see our country. No, he does. Through these policies, he does. That, like, it doesn't take knowing economics to realize that would destroy New York.
Whether he'll admit it or not is a different thing. Whether he wants to or not is a different thing. But fundamentally changing and uprooting and trying your best to completely change New York City's identity, that has an impact on the state of New York, has an impact on the country. It has an impact in D.C., as we'll see, you know.
Yeah.
The second you get someone like him, you're going to have other cities, other mayors, other governors, other senators. They're going to adopt his ideas. They're going to try to promote what he's promoting, you know. You think he's done it, Mayor? You think after he has his term with Mayor, he's just going to be, yep, I'm cool. I'm going to go back to studying black people. No, he's going to obviously run for governor, and then the next thing, whether that's senator or somewhere in the House. So you have to be careful who you elect, and you have the right to elect whoever you want. But as true Americans, you need to realize your actions have consequences. Elections do matter. And Gen Z specifically, you will pay the price, whether it's now or later or whatever in the future down the road. You don't get free things for no reason. And someone foots the bill for it. So just keep that in mind.
All right, so now you know way too much about Mamdani, but it was necessary seeing as he was in the news so much this week. And I hope you now know more about Mamdani and his policies and who he is as a person, and you'll take that to heart in the future as his career grows and as New York City becomes the city that Mamdani wants it to.
A city in Zoran's image. That's all we have for you today. Thanks for tuning in to Propaganda. This is Nick and Jacob, and we'll see you next week.